Let us take a moment to look back at the photographs from the 1950s. Whether it is a snapshot from a family gathering, a stroll down a busy street, or a quiet afternoon in the neighborhood, you might notice something quite remarkable about the women of that era. They carried a natural vitality and a wonderful sense of physical balance. Back then, there were no applications to track every morsel of food, no complex gymnasium memberships, and certainly no supermarket aisles filled with weight management supplements. Yet, an entire generation maintained a natural balance in their wellness throughout their lives without what we would call a strict regimen today. When we look around today, things are quite different. Billions are spent every single year on the wellness industry. We have access to more programs, more guides, and more choices than at any point in human history. Yet, many of us in our 50s, 60s, and beyond find that our bodies simply do not respond the way they used to. With all this modern access, something does not quite add up. I started looking closely at the daily routines and nutritional patterns from the 1950s. I spent time reading through old household archives and observing the simple ways people lived. What I found was not a strict plan at all. Instead, I discovered 6 daily habits embedded in how those women shopped, cooked, ate, and timed their meals. These were gentle habits so deeply woven into their daily lives that nobody even considered them special. Nobody sold these ideas. They simply lived them every single day. As we focus on still living deeply and embracing the quiet wisdom of our later years, I believe it is vital to revisit these lost habits. Many of these wonderful routines faded away, buried under modern marketing and convenience foods. Our grandmothers knew these secrets, and today I want to share all 6 of them with you, ranked from the simplest to the most transformative. I highly recommend you stay with me, especially for the second habit on this list, as it challenges much of what we are told today and might be the very reason those women maintained such effortless health. Let us begin with the 6th habit. This involves something almost every kitchen had back then, which has slowly disappeared from our modern counters. Number 6, they utilized traditional, natural cooking fats for almost everything. This might come as a surprise because for decades we have been gently guided away from traditional fats. But women in the 50s cooked their meals using butter, tallow, and natural drippings. It was a normal part of life. Almost every kitchen had a small glass jar right next to the stove to collect these natural fats, which they would reuse for cooking eggs or bringing out the flavor in vegetables. Vegetable oils like corn or soybean oil were not the daily standard they are now. The default was always natural and animal-based. What is fascinating is how our bodies respond to this. Observations show that modern seed oils can introduce a significant amount of inflammation into our system. When our bodies experience prolonged periods of this irritation, it can disrupt the natural signals our body sends to our brain. For example, your body sends a specific signal that tells your mind when you are completely full and satisfied. When that signal is disrupted, your body simply asks for more food because it cannot hear the gentle message to stop. The women of the 50s did not have to worry about this. Their simple cooking ingredients supported their body and its natural communication. If you want to bring a bit of this wisdom into your own kitchen, the approach is wonderfully simple. I suggest trying to replace heavily processed seed oils with traditional butter, ghee, or coconut oil for your daily warm cooking. You can save your cold-pressed olive oil for gentle uses, like dressing a salad. You do not need to change everything all at once. Just start by observing what goes into your pan in the morning. The ingredients you use to cook your food touch every single meal, so this one small adjustment can help your body naturally recognize when it is full. Now, let us move to the 5th habit, which reaches even deeper into how those women maintained their wellness effortlessly. Number 5, They regularly enjoyed fermented foods like buttermilk and traditional pickles with their meals. If you could open a refrigerator from that time, you would see shelves lined with glass jars, pickled cucumbers, homemade relishes, sauerkraut, and often a tall bottle of buttermilk in the door. These were not considered trendy health foods back then. This was simply how families preserved their harvest. The pickle jar was a staple at dinner, and buttermilk was enjoyed quite naturally in the afternoon. Without even realizing it, these women were providing their digestive systems with incredible support every single day. We now understand that a rich, diverse environment in our digestion is one of the greatest foundations for overall wellness and balance. People who maintain a rich variety of beneficial bacteria in their system often find it much easier to maintain a comfortable body balance. It acts as a foundation for how we process everything we consume. These women were not buying expensive supplements in modern glass bottles. They were just enjoying traditional sides with their meals, much like the generations before them. What matters most here is the daily consistency. Enjoying these simple foods daily is what creates a lasting, supportive environment in your body. To gently bring this practice back into your life, I recommend adding just one small serving of a naturally fermented food to your daily routine. This could be real traditional sauerkraut from the refrigerated section, simple plain yogurt, or traditional pickles made in a salt brine rather than just vinegar. Start small and let it become a habit. Over time, this helps your body naturally manage cravings and supports a beautiful internal balance. This next habit is perhaps one of the most overlooked differences between how families ate in the 1950s and how we manage our meals today. Number 4, they served their largest, most nourishing meal in the early afternoon and kept their evening meal wonderfully simple. In those days, what many called dinner was actually served midday. This was the moment the table was set and a substantial, hearty meal was shared. The largest portion of their daily nourishment was enjoyed when the sun was high overhead. By evening, families would sit down to a modest bowl of soup, some simple bread or light leftovers. Today, our routines are quite the opposite. Many of us consume our smallest meals early and save the vast majority of our food for the late evening hours while resting. Observations in natural wellness suggest that this modern rhythm does not align well with our body's internal clock. Your body processes nourishment differently depending on the time of day. Its ability to efficiently manage energy is much stronger in the morning and early afternoon. When we consume heavy meals late in the evening, our system often struggles to process that energy smoothly. The homemaker of the 50s may not have known the exact science of daily metabolic rhythms, but her schedule naturally harmonized with her body's needs. I recommend trying to gently shift the balance of your meals earlier in the day. You might find it very helpful to make lunch your most substantial meal and keep your evening plate lighter and easier to digest. You do not need to be perfect with this. Even a gentle shift can bring a noticeable lightness to your body and help you wake up feeling more refreshed. Now, let us talk about how those women moved. Number 3, they embraced walking as a natural part of living, often walking to the store instead of taking a quick drive. In the 50s, a woman might walk several miles over the course of a day. It is very important to understand that these women were not engaging in structured fitness or trying to complete a strict exercise routine. They were simply walking to the neighborhood market, visiting a friend a few streets over, tending to the garden, and moving around the house. It was just the gentle rhythm of a life lived deeply. Today, we recognize this as natural daily movement. Interestingly, this gentle, consistent movement is one of the most significant factors in how our bodies manage energy over time. Those who naturally move more throughout the day often find it much easier to maintain a comfortable physical balance compared to those who sit still for long periods. The woman of the 50s naturally took thousands of steps without ever tracking them. To bring this wonderful habit forward, I advise looking for small, natural ways to add movement back into your day. You might stand and gently pace while talking on the phone, choose to walk to a nearby errand, or simply handle a few household chores by hand rather than relying entirely on modern convenience. These tiny moments gather together beautifully. Consistent, gentle movement spread across your day is a profound way to support your body. This leads us directly into a practice that sounds so incredibly simple, many people today completely overlook it. Number 2, they sat down for 3 distinct meals and simply did not eat in between them. During that time, snacking between meals was just not a common part of the culture. The standard was 3 solid meals a day, and that was it. There were no hidden snacks in the pantry, no constant access to packaged items, and no midday treats waiting at every corner. You enjoyed your meal at the table, and if you felt a bit hungry later, you simply waited for the next mealtime. This pattern of eating is beautifully supportive of your natural balance. Whenever we eat, our body begins a process to manage the incoming nourishment. When we eat 3 structured meals, our system works to process the food, and then it gets a long, well-deserved rest in between. During these quiet resting periods, your body can naturally focus on utilizing its stored energy. However, if we are constantly reaching for small snacks throughout the day, our system never truly gets a break. It is always working, which makes it very difficult for the body to tap into its own natural energy reserves. The 50s lifestyle naturally created these gentle resting windows of 4 or 5 hours between meals. I highly recommend trying to simplify your eating schedule. Aim to enjoy 3 satisfying meals each day, making sure they include plenty of natural nourishment so you feel genuinely satisfied. By giving your body a proper break between meals, you allow your natural rhythms to function exactly as they were meant to. The hunger you might feel in the first few days is often just a psychological habit. Soon, your body will regulate itself naturally, unlocking a wonderful sense of lightness. And now we arrive at the most profound and essential habit on our list. This is the one practice that truly brings everything else together. Number 1, they prepared their meals using only simple ingredients that their own grandmothers would recognize. When you truly understand the beauty of this approach, every other habit we have discussed clicks into place perfectly. In the 1950s, heavily altered and packaged foods made up a very tiny fraction of what families ate. Today, a significant portion of our daily nourishment comes from highly modified products. This is a complete shift from how human beings have nourished themselves for generations. Observations from wellness researchers have shown us exactly why this matters so deeply. When experts carefully compared diets based on highly modified foods with those based on whole natural ingredients, the results were eye-opening. Even when the portions and nutritional numbers looked identical on paper, the outcomes were vastly different. Those consuming the highly modified foods naturally found themselves wanting to eat much more, and their bodies retained more weight. Meanwhile, those enjoying simple whole foods naturally found a comfortable balance. This happens because highly modified products are often designed to override our body's natural signals of fullness. They can confuse our senses, making us reach for more, even when we are physically satisfied. The woman of the 1950s prepared virtually every meal using real, whole ingredients. Her bread was made from flour, water, yeast, and a little salt. Her meals were built around vegetables from the garden, fresh goods from the local market, and fruits that were actually in season. She did not have to read complicated ingredient labels because the food she prepared usually only had one single ingredient. It was just real food. To bring this beautiful simplicity back into your own life, I want to reassure you that you do not need to spend all day in the kitchen. I recommend starting by making just one small swap each week. You might replace a store-bought dressing with a simple mix of olive oil and fresh lemon. You could choose a traditional loaf of bread from a local baker instead of the heavily packaged kind. Perhaps try cooking just one more meal at home this week than you usually do. Every single gentle swap brings you closer to the way our bodies were always meant to be nourished. The women of the 1950s did not have a secret plan or a complicated regimen. They simply maintained a normal, healthy relationship with real food that came from the earth. And that remains one of the most powerful ways to support your body that has ever existed. So, there we have it. 6 unspoken daily habits that women in the 1950s followed without ever downloading an application or reading a complex wellness guide. They used traditional natural fats for their daily cooking. They enjoyed traditional fermented foods like pickles and buttermilks with their meals. They served their most substantial, hearty meal at midday and enjoyed a simple, light supper. They embraced walking as a natural part of their daily routine. They sat down for 3 satisfying meals and allowed their bodies to rest without snacking in between. And above all else, they prepared their meals using simple, whole ingredients that came straight from nature. None of this required immense willpower or strict rules. It was simply a gentle way of living before modern convenience changed how we approach our meals. The wonderful news is that every single one of these habits is completely available to you right now. You do not need to turn back time. You just need to bring a few of these forgotten practices forward into your modern routine. I suggest you choose just one of these habits to start with. Try it gently for a few weeks and observe how your body responds. I believe you will be genuinely surprised by the natural balance and lightness you begin to feel. We are all on a journey of still living deeply, and honoring our bodies with these simple truths is a wonderful step forward. If this conversation brought you value today, please subscribe to the channel so we can continue sharing these quiet wisdoms together. We have many more gentle insights to uncover. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today.